You know that feeling, right? When you are just absolutely certain about something, deep in your bones, but then someone asks you to explain why, and poof, the words are just not there. You know it's true, but you can't prove it. It is so frustrating. Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. That knowledge you just can't explain.
So it all comes down to this idea right here. There are things a person can know and still be unable to explain. Now, that might sound like some kind of deep philosophical riddle, but it's not. It's actually a clue. It points to a really fundamental split in how we know what we know.
And of course, that leads to the question, the one we've all probably heard or even asked ourselves. But if you can't explain it, do you really know it? I mean, our whole culture basically screams no, but what if that's the wrong question? What if it's not about a failure on our part, but a sign that we're dealing with a totally different kind of knowledge?
All right, so to really unpack this, we have to look at the water we're all swimming in. Let's call it the measurement mindset. This is all about the world of empirical knowledge. It's basically our society's default setting for what we consider real or true. So, what exactly is empirical knowledge? Well, it's pretty straightforward. It's the stuff you can measure, test, repeat, and have someone else check your work on. Science is the gold standard here. Its power comes from the fact that it can be shared and proven. If you can show me the data, then we can both agree on it. Simple as that.
And the tools in this particular toolkit, well, they're exactly what you'd expect. Measurement, repetition, putting numbers on things, quantification, and external observation. See the theme here? It's all about stuff you can see from the outside, stuff you can break down into little pieces, stuff that multiple people can look at and say, yep, I see that too. It's all about being objective. But, and this is a huge but, there's a massive challenge here. This whole system has a giant blind spot. If you can't demonstrate something with those tools we just talked about, well, this system basically treats it like it doesn't exist, like it's not real knowledge. And that, right there, brings us straight back to our original problem. What do we do with the things we know that just can't be taken apart and measured?
Okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. To actually solve this puzzle, we have to look at a completely different way of knowing things. We have to go beyond just looking at the individual parts and start discovering something called structural knowledge.
So, what in the world is structural knowledge? It's the kind of knowing you get from seeing the big picture. It's about recognizing the patterns, the systems, the relationships between things that give them their meaning. Think about it like this. It's not about studying a single brick. It's about suddenly seeing the design of the entire cathedral. You're not looking at the pieces anymore. You're seeing the whole structure.
Let's put these two side by side, because this really makes it click. On one hand, you've got empirical knowledge. That's all about the outputs, right? The stuff you can measure. On the other hand, structural knowledge is all about the system that creates those outputs. Empirical knowledge, that gets checked by other people. It's verified externally. But structural knowledge, that's often verified internally. It's that feeling of, that makes sense. It all fits together. And here's the kicker. You can break down empirical facts all day long, but if you try to break down a structure, it just loses what makes it special. It loses its meaning.
There's actually a great ancient word for this, logos. Don't let the old word scare you. Just think of it as the invisible blueprint. It's the underlying pattern, the hidden logic of a system that makes everything work together and gives it meaning. Okay, so if logos is the blueprint, what happens when you suddenly see the blueprint? That's called gnosis. And again, this isn't some spooky, mystical thing. It's that incredible aha moment. It's that flash of insight when all the puzzle pieces suddenly click into place and you see the whole pattern for the very first time. Okay, you with me? We've got two ways of knowing, the measurable, empirical way, and the pattern-seeing, structural way. Now let's take this idea and apply it to something really big and often misunderstood. Let's talk about faith. So here's how most people think about faith, right? It's belief in the absence of understanding. It gets painted as this blind leap in the dark, just closing your eyes and hoping for the best. But what if that's not what faith is at all? What if that whole definition is just wrong? Let's try to build a new definition, a structural one. Step 1, you recognize a deep structural truth. You have that aha moment, that gnosis we talked about. Step 2, you realize that this thing you now know, well, you can't prove it with a ruler or a spreadsheet. And step 3, faith is what you do next. It's the choice to hold on to that truth you recognized. See, it's not a leap into the dark. It's standing firm in something you've already seen.
So here's the big shift. Faith isn't belief without evidence. It's an alignment with a kind of knowledge that just doesn't play by empirical rules. It lives in that space between what you can see as a pattern and what you can prove to someone else with data. That's the key. And listen, this idea is so much bigger than just a conversation about faith. This way of thinking about the things we can't measure has huge implications for almost everything. It really highlights the incredible value of being able to see the whole picture.
Just think about where this shows up in your own life. That deep gut feeling, your intuition that tells you something's not right here, even when all the facts on paper look fine. That's structural knowledge, or when you finally understand a huge systemic problem, like in business or politics. Or, recognizing things like love or courage or goodness. You can't stick those in a test tube. All of this, it's structural knowledge at work. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Real understanding isn't just about gathering more and more facts. It's about being able to see the structure that makes those facts mean something in the first place. It's a total shift from just looking at the what to understanding the how and the why.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about your own life, your own experiences, those things you just know but can't explain. What are the important patterns that you see that maybe the world doesn't have a way to measure yet? What do you know deep down is true, even if you don't have the data to prove it? Thinking about that, well, it might just change everything.